Alright, hello. We figured we'd do something different, and we'd like to try to talk you through how to make a CMV. And this is sort of a beginner's level, so in case that you're wondering on how to get started, what to do, the basics and all those things, we'd like to help you out, and that can be any CMV. We've done a lot of CMVs and they've mainly been Harry Potter related, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. These are general guidelines for all CMVs. So, who are we to tell you how to make a CMV? Well, we've made quite a few. I'm not gonna say that we are the best CMV makers in the world, but Benjamin and I do study media at university, and we have and are editing for like some companies. Lena has been an extra in a lot of things, an actress in a lot of things, and we're going to make documentaries in China, having been invited this summer. So we do have some skills in this area, so we'd like to share our tips with you. And number one is picking a song. And what's important about picking a song is that it should match the story that you're trying to tell. But it doesn't have to be completely matching. There can be like a little bit of nuance in it, right?
And have a character that fits into the storyline and general feel of the song.
Yeah, so it's more the feel of the song that has to match than all the specific words. And also, if you're posting it on YouTube, you can look under the YouTube music policies and library on the Creator Studio and check whether you can actually use the song, or if it will be banned in certain countries, or what the policies are on the individual song, which is very useful. Then you have to make a storyline that is somewhat coherent, or anyway like clips with a certain theme or a certain evolution of character over your story, and write it down. Write the scenes individually down.
It's just easier when you're on location, in your costumes, whatever you're doing, you can just have sort of a plan. You know exactly what to film, where and when, so you don't really have to remember everything. You have it written down on a plan. That's really helpful.
Yeah. And then there's the costume and wig, which should match the character. In that sense, it's not to be too strict about it, but it's important to have a wig and such. Like, you can do like a closet cosplay, but it has to be somewhat matching of the character in order for your audience to understand who's on the screen. So now you've made your storyline, you've picked your song, and you have thereby made a schedule, a filming list over scenes that need to be filmed. And it is important to stick to that list and cross out when you've gotten to a certain point, but it's also important to set time aside for getting new ideas for your video that will just get to you. You'll get them spontaneously, and also have time for breaks. And
time for freestyling and time for snack breaks.
Yes, and that leads to B-roll. And if you had to explain B-roll, it would be filler clips that aren't necessarily part of the major storyline, but are some, in this case, aesthetic shots or something like location shots that can be mixed in with your other clips. And good B-roll can save a CMV. And they're good to intertwine so it doesn't get too loaded with story here or there. And also shoot things more than once, because like you get home and there's going to be a person with a dog in the background, so you're going to be happy that you shot it again. Also remember that everything will go wrong, and it's okay, and
you'll be fine.
Yeah, you're gonna learn from it.
So you don't have to start all over if one little thing goes wrong. It's fine, just roll with it.
Then you've learned it for next time.
Yeah.
A good amount of close-ups, 75% according to our professor of a video should be close-ups. I don't know if I agree completely with that statement. It really depends on the CMV that you're making, but it's good to have close-up of people and the details and the small important actions that are going on in your movie in order to direct your audience attention towards what you want to tell them. So definitely have close-ups.
Yeah.
Also, remember to look up on the cinematic rules of angles if you feel like you can handle this, such as look at the 180-degree angle rule in order to create cohesion in your shots. And if you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up if you're interested. Also, grow out of your equipment instead of growing into it. Especially with ourselves, we have grown out of our cameras. It actually took quite a few years, and we've just got new equipment also in terms of stands, and we are looking into better lights and such. But the thing is that growing out of your equipment instead of growing into it means that you're gonna get the full potential out of the equipment that you do have.
And you save a lot of money instead of buying the newest and most expensive thing. Maybe you don't even need it yet.
Exactly. If you don't know how to handle like expensive equipment, it's a waste of money that you have it because you're not really gonna use it for anything good.
And make do with some cheaper lightings. It doesn't have to be especially made for movie making. We bought a cheap LED lamp and it works just fine.
Yeah, it will work.
Yeah,
this is a hobby for most, I imagine, especially if you're watching this. So you will be fine. Also, be aware of light. As Lena talked about, you don't have to have professional light. A reflector that you can buy on eBay, a white refractor, most commonly used, is a really cheap tool that can help you in terms of lighting, especially when you're doing outdoor scenes, because the sun is very, very sharp and it creates harsh shadows, so you can like brighten up the other bit and soften your image. Generally, it's important to get a lot of light into your clip. Also, you could shoot at golden hour, which is the time of the day where the shadows and the highlights are more blended, and it's more of a soft look, and it's used in Hollywood.
So 1 hour before sunset and 1 hour after sunrise.
Also make sure that the clip that you're shooting matches your other clips. It's okay not to shoot all clips in one day, but if they're supposed to look like they take place the same day, make sure that they match, or otherwise color grade them so they match. But that's a bit more advanced and can be a little bit tricky, especially if you have the sky in the background.
And in the winter, then sometimes it just gets dark really quickly, and if you're in the middle of recording stuff and it just turns dark, then it won't match the rest. So you kind of have to wait for the next day.
Yes, and remember to focus on the thing that the audience has to pay attention to. And generally, a rule of thumb is to focus on the person's eyes in order that there's a little twinkle in the eye when you zoom in. That means that you have focused correctly if it's the character that you want there to be focused on. And if you're not practiced enough to focus manually, I suggest that you do an autofocus instead of making a blurry focus, and then you can practice your focus like in between takes and sort of warm up to it. But also beware of autofocus because it will focus on weird things and it's a bit of a risk. But if you're very, very, very new, start with that, but try to learn to use the regular focus.
Because if the focus is off, it can just ruin a really gorgeous clip. Really, it's just, it can look so well done, and then the focus is just off, and it's really a shame actually.
Yeah,
so.
if you put so much hard work into it. Pick a location that is somewhat representative of the scenery that you have as an idea in your video. For example, we have a lot of Hogwarts related things, so we've used public parks, and we've also used like with the manor in the background and such. So that's important, but it's not a deal breaker as long as you keep clutter and random people and things outside of the shot as much as possible. Also check up on the legal aspects of filming on the location that you want to film. The last thing you want is for you to be filming there illegally and get into trouble or disrespecting the people that own. Also use as much time or more time on editing than you did on shooting, generally. And if possible, we suggest don't using clips twice unless there's a specific reason for the repetition of the certain clip, because it ends up boring your audience. And put some effort into the thumbnail. That's also very important because it's the first thing that people see and it's the thing that's gonna attract people to your video. It doesn't have to be a huge deal, but just give it a little bit of thought and not just have one of the generated ones picked by YouTube. And spend time tagging it because that's how people are gonna find your video. So tag it with anything relatable. So let's go with our example. Let's say we did a Harry Potter scene. We tag it Harry Potter, HP, Hogwarts, Ron, Hermione,
and CMV,
so
cosplay CMV,
and the song.
Yeah.
And that also goes give it a good and/or logical title, because you want people to be aware of what they're seeing. So make sure that it's clear what your video is about. I believe that's it.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. We hope it was a help, and bye!
Bye bye!